Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots. This is a local podcast focused on our community's creators, and you can find us on all your favorite streaming services, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pandora, Spotify, whatever you're getting your podcast on. You can find us there. Our website, you can stream it straight off of there at fortworthroots.com. And there are YouTube videos that go along with this, so you can find that by going to YouTube and looking for Fort Worth Roots. Not every single episode that we've put out has a video, but almost all of them. I think it's like 77 or 78 videos to go along with these episodes. And if you are on Instagram, check us out. It's Fort Worth Roots. We'd love for you to follow us on there. Anytime we got anything going on, we're very active on Instagram. So if you got an Instagram, check us out, Fort Worth Roots. This weekend, I had the opportunity to hang out with some really awesome local podcast people. Osos Golosos, thanks for the invite. Forever Reckless. The Funky Panther was there. We all went out to see the Luapalooza final show, and if you didn't catch that, trust me, it was incredible. I've got some video and pictures of that up on the Instagram. And before that, we got to hang out and have some drinks and just kind of cut up. And I threw an idea out there. I've been telling you guys a little bit over the last couple episodes that I want to do a 100th episode release party for Fort Worth Roots. Well, I'm inviting all these people out there to do this with us. And I also told them an idea that I had for a Fort Worth podcast scavenger hunt. Now, it's too hot outside and gas prices are too high for you to be running around doing an actual scavenger hunt. So this is what we're looking at doing. We're going to give one letter to each one of these podcasts. We're going to try to get 10 or more podcasts involved, and they'll have a letter. You go to that podcast, you listen to their episode, and now you've got the letter. All together, it spells a phrase. Bring that phrase to the 100th episode release party, put it on a raffle ticket, and then you'll be ready to receive a prize if you win. I know, it sounds clunky. We're still ironing out the details, but it's going to be fun. And so we're looking for no less than 11 different podcasters to get involved with this. You got to be from Fort Worth. I'm sorry, this is a Fort Worth Roots podcast scavenger hunt. So I hope that is a cool idea to you guys. All the podcasters thought it was an okay idea, and I think it's something fun that we can do to kind of connect our community. So look forward to that. And to all my podcast homies that made it out to Luapalooza, thank y'all for inviting us. It was an excellent time. I really enjoyed getting to hang out with you dudes and dudettes, and let's do it again real soon. Thank y'all for having me out. Today's episode was recorded at Cloudland-Recording Studio. You find them on Facebook. Again, that's Cloudland-Recording Studios. The place is awesome. Today you're going to get the unofficial, alleged inside scoop on what happened with the previous Lola's location, which I was excited to hear about, but like I said, don't sue me. It's alleged, right? Our guest today is the bass player for the local Fort Worth band Mean Motors Scooter. He also plays guitar for the Fort Worth band Uncle Toasty. He's the owner of Cloudland-Recording Studios, where they recently recorded and released the album Continuous Vaudeville. There's a lot of projects going on. There's a lot of talent that flows through Cloudland-Recording Studio, so I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Please check out the show notes. But that's enough talking out of me. Let's give it up for our guest today, Joe Tacke. Thank y'all for being here. Let's start the show. So I did a little bit of looking up on your Facebooks and your websites. You're an audio engineer. That's pretty obvious now that I'm in your studio.
Sure.
For those of y'all listening, if you check out the YouTube video, we are sitting in Joe's really badass. Well, this is part of the studio. What do you call this?
This
room?
Is the control room.
The control room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always amazed with the knobs and the sliders and everything.
Yeah.
It just seems like way too much shit.
Yeah, I guess it can be intimidating once you start figuring it out how it all breaks down. It's not too bad. Everything just works in channels. You have your fader adjusts your output level. You have a input gain knob on the top, and then an EQ section, and then those blue knobs will send aux sends to bus section over there, and then you can, I don't know, maneuver audio around however you want. It's like I describe it as like plumbing.
Well, yeah, you're sending things to different places.
Got a signal coming in. I got a signal coming from here, and I need to get it to here. How do I do that? You know, So this like patch bay behind me. This is kind of the brains of it. If you've seen like any old movie or something where they got the old telephone operator plugging and switching and stuff, it's the exact same technology.
Okay.
So I'm just taking signal from this place, sending it to that thing, sending it from that thing to this thing, and from this thing to the tape machine or whatever. So
You're a madman. Well, this is getting really far in my list of questions here, but you're doing 100% analog recordings at Cloudland, that's the name of your studio, Cloudland. And I was wondering, is that fairly common nowadays for a modern studio to do analog?
I think it's on the rarer side. There's still a few of us out there that do it. There's a community of folks that still record to tape and stuff. Yeah, it's not a lot. I'm finding myself backing into a knowledge gap because there's still a lot of things I need to know about kind of the finer points, like the real like esoteric information or whatever that most of the dudes that knew that are starting to leave us, so we're starting to lose some of that knowledge. I'm trying to garner as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate that wet mouth sound. Sorry, I'm gonna take it.
You're gonna notice it way more than anybody else. I know that.
Man, that's like my biggest pet peeve. Listening to like an NPR or something like that, and the reporters just all dry mouth, and you just hear all those sounds. Oh, it makes me nuts.
Now you're making me super self-conscious.
No, it's fine. It's just me. I just needed to
But
drink.
I do that too, like during post-edit. Is there a tangible quality to analog over kind of the newer age method?
Yeah, I think there is. The tape itself adds like a lot of warmth and the tape saturation and third up harmonics and all these other like high harmonics and stuff that you don't normally get. And I mean, I don't know how in the weeds we want to get on some of those details. But so it looks like somebody's popped in. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's Amy Kidd. As the music and sound and stuff that we hear is all like represented by an electrical signal, so and that electrical signal has got peaks and valleys and stuff like that, and so the way we convert it to digital, which I do run, we have digital and stuff here too. Obviously, still have to get music to people. But so in the digital, we have sample rate and bit depth, which if like CDs are 44.1 kilohertz, I think, which is the sample rate, and so that's how often we take a snapshot of those that electrical signal and put a plot on there, right? Okay. And so then the bit depth is we've already lost every fucking listener you've ever had.
No, there's one guy that's like, yep, he knows what he's talking about.
Or no, you got that wrong. But yeah, and then the 16, 24, or 32 bits are basically like the megapixels, like how in depth that picture is. So the more often you take a picture and the bigger the depth of the picture, the more accurate you're going to get a representation. With analog, you don't have that digital representation lobbing off, kind of cutting off some stuff by extrapolating between point A and point B and just assuming that line goes exactly from there to there. Now, granted, we're talking like fractions of a second, but you can still hear the difference.
Yeah. And that's probably the best way to word it. Then earlier you called it just the warmth.
Yeah. So it adds a lot of warmth in those extra harmonics and stuff, and it passes through a bunch more transistors and stuff like that give it that character to the sound. So
the only reason I know this is because somebody told me, increase your bit rate if you're going to do any editing in the future with that track. So
yeah.
That's how far my knowledge goes on that.
Generally, I just recommend everybody work in 32 now. It gives you more headroom with your plugins. And for podcasting, that may or may not be that important. But it gives you a little more headroom to kind of mess with things. But typically like CDs are delivered in 16-bit. Blu-rays are 48. Anything synced for TV, I think for the most part is 48, 24 now. Yeah.
Get a lot of knowledge running around in there.
Yeah, it gets confusing.
Now, when did you start working towards mastering this skill?
I started right when I got back from overseas. I needed something to do, and I was always happy playing music. And then I was thinking, music's great, but there's always kind of a shelf life on how long that can be, a viable source of income.
Right.
Unless you get lucky. But I'm smart enough to realize I probably wouldn't get lucky right off the bat. So I had a buddy of mine, one of my best friends growing up. Him and I played in bands together, and he started working as an audio engineer right out of college. And so when I came back, that's what he was doing. And so he was working at some big studios and stuff. And I just kind of got to talking to him, and he tried talking me out of it for a year and a half. And I just persisted, and finally he's like, fine, I'll show you how to get started. And so just started learning on my own, went to school for it for a little bit, and then started interning at studios and hit the ground running from there. So that's probably like 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
And most of that was kind of on the analog side?
No, I learned digital first. I came into analog. I've only been working with tape machines and stuff. Well, the term analog is kind of broad because if I record to this thing first and still go straight to the computer, that's still coming through an analog source and then before it's converted to digital. But yeah, when I first started out, I was working just in Pro Tools, just with one really cheap interface and learning, and then interning at studios and getting yelled at by older engineers about how to do stuff. And yeah, so
earn your stripes.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to do it.
But yeah, no, I started in digital, and then when I started working up here about 5 or 6 years ago, we had this tape machine, which we used to have another one too. There used to be a 1-inch machine that got sold before I bought the place. But I was just kind of curious about the process. I kind of dabbled in some reel-to-reel stuff, just out of curiosity and just tinkering and stuff. I had a Tascam 8-track that I got from an old UPS driver at a day job that I had for pretty cheap in hindsight. But it didn't work right off the bat, so I tried fixing it, and it's actually my friend Eric Darby still fucking has it. It's been, goddamn it, it's almost been 2 years, Eric.
Eric, we need it back, dude. What are you doing? I said you could borrow it.
Well, no, he's supposed to be fixing it for me, but he's a busy man too. Anyway, so I started dabbling with that stuff, and we had these 2 machines up here, and I was like, hey, I want to start recording to those, and so I got probably, sorry Robbie, but the worst tutorial on how to do it, and it then ended up kind of just deep diving it and really figuring out how all this stuff works and how to calibrate. I didn't even know you had to calibrate it for the first year I used the machine.
It just started slowly falling apart.
No, it was fine. Like I was telling you before we started recording, these things are built like tanks. I mean, they're meant to be rode hard, but there's a lot of fine tuning that can kind of, everything sounded fine, but once I started learning how to tweak it and shit, all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, this sounds even better, And so you start I started just reading the manual was the first thing I did. I printed off the manual for that thing, and I just read it every night.
I didn't know that as men we were allowed to read manuals.
Oh, my God. I mean, I challenge you to turn that thing on without reading the manual first.
Yeah, I want to steer clear of it because there's too much going on. With the manual, I don't think I'd have much luck.
Yeah, even even when I go to calibrate it and stuff, if I have to do a big calibration for changing tape formulas or something like that, I just have the manual out and I just go step by step through it. Even though I pretty much have it memorized at this point. But yeah,
I'm totally kidding. That I won't do anything without some kind of instruction because I'm terrified I'm going to screw it up.
I'm 50-50 on it. It depends. Depends on how complicated it seems like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the importance level too. I took my engine from a 2004 GMC Sierra, completely pulled it apart, and had somebody else put it together. But I was trying to diagnose it myself.
Yeah. And
so I just watched YouTube videos and pulled it apart. And it's really easy to pull it apart.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to get it back together. Yeah. I changed the clutch on an 89 Jetta in fucking Moscow with my grandpa's toolbox I brought with me.
All the directions are in Russian?
Well, no, they're on German. It was a Volkswagen.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
I'm thinking Moscow.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, but just teasing. But anyway, I got that thing apart, and I got it back together, but it never ran the same afterwards.
Dude, if you got it back together and it ran, I'd chalk that up as a win.
Yeah, I remember camera phones had just come out, and I'm taking it for a test drive, and I had gotten a couple of I got 2 of the 4 plug wires like wrong, and so it was mistimed, and so it's just like pop, 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 puttering. And so I pull up to this little gas station, these fucking teenagers like whip out the first generation camera phones. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, oh god damn it, they're filming me. And I'm like,
yeah, they couldn't tell what the hell they were looking at when they replayed it.
Yeah.
1 megapixel shit.
I'm sure it looked
camera.
terrible.
I think that's what they were too, right? Like back then,
I don't know,
maybe like, a megapixel back then.
This was like the year the iPhone came out.
No.
But I don't think it was an iPhone. I don't think anybody in Russia had an iPhone then. Or at least none of the common folk.
Because I think that there were camera phones before iPhone, but they were just awful.
Yeah, I had one.
You couldn't do anything with
some
them.
little flip phone with a camera.
Right.
It basically, like, my kid has a toy camera that has the exact same resolution as that
or
thing.
better.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you bought this place about 5 years ago.
No, I started working here 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought it. So Dreamy Life Records built it to be the studio. They have this whole kind of idea of the store, record label, studio, kind of a one-stop shop for everything.
Right.
And for a while, I was about, one of the very few people that were keeping the lights on in here. And so when they decided to get out of the studio business, they offered it up to me to buy it from them, and so I snatched it up. And that was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay, so Dreamy Life record label, that's not part of this?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I still recorded a lot of Dreamy Life bands. We're all friends,
Right.
Yeah, it's a tight community. And
I thought maybe that was part of Cloudland, but they do have a record store at Mass.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. They've got a pretty limited selection, but lots of good stuff in there.
It's a good curated selection.
Yeah.
Jim and Cameron do a pretty good job, I think, of trying to kind of pick the best of the best.
I'd been to Mass probably 3 times before I realized there was a record store there.
Yeah, I don't know what time they close. They've been staying open later and later.
And you said that you were there for Psychedelic Panther at Mass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played Uncle Toasty also, and we played like 11 on Friday night of that thing.
Are you bass for Uncle Toasty?
Guitar for Uncle Toasty.
Oh, okay, and then bass
for Me Motor Scooter.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that hard to? I talked to Jeff about this, but is it kind of hard to differentiate between those two bands to keep them as a separate thing?
No, Chase or Jeff has like a real strong vision of what Uncle Toasty should be, and we all just kind of serve that vision. And Me Motor Scooter is a little bit more Sammy's vision, but with all of us kind of feeding into it in our own little way too. So it's its own kind of own. They're very different animals for sure. Yeah.
Sounds. You're both telling me the same thing. Like y'all've got it figured out.
Yeah, I think so. And it helps too that we have different. I mean, the 3 members of Me Motor Scooter are also in Uncle Toasty, but we have 2 other members with us, and so that helps bring in fresh ideas and perspective and stuff like that.
Does the Jerry Jonestown Massacre podcast fit into that somewhere?
Yes, Dustin Schneider, who is the one of the hosts of JJTM with Matt Stubbs, is the bass player for Uncle Toasty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't met those guys yet.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, you guys should do a double podcast.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, they everybody speaks very highly of them.
Yeah, they're fun. Dudes. Yeah,
they've had that podcast for a while.
Don't go in May when you're not drinking though, because
May's almost over, dude.
They like to drink.
I just got a few more days to go. Yeah, I was telling Joe before we started the recording that May was a no drinking month. I do this every once in a while. Actually, 2020, I went the entire year without drinking.
Oh my god!
I lost a ton of weight.
Oh, I did the exact opposite. I just drank myself.
That's everybody. I remember going down the street like the first month of lockdown, and there were just hefty bags, like the big yard hefty bags full of like liquor bottles and beer cans, and I mean people were doing it up.
Yeah.
2020 was good for liquor stores.
Yeah, I basically I spent all of 2020 just in here recording like a very small group of friends, and just like spent a lot of the time. I have a buddy, Josh Reed, who used to be in Josh and the Jet Noise, and then he stepped away from that. And they kept going just as a Jet Noise, but then he just got this wild hair that he wanted to start like just his own project, and so he was real COVID shy. So he showed up here, pre-rehearsed a few songs with the Bruce Magnus drummer Billy Hildreth. They laid down drums and guitar, and then Josh was like, "See you later." And then so me and a bunch of friends just spent the next 6 months just adding all sorts of crazy shit to his songs until it was done. Turned out really cool. It was a really fun project, but we just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank.
Did that turn into an album when y'all finished it?
I think he released it as an EP just under his name, Josh Reed.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's called... Oh, shit. Josh is going to be mad. I can't remember what it's called now.
Well, we've always got the show notes, so if you'll send me a link, I'll add it.
Yeah, I'll shoot you a link to it. Yeah. It's something like... It's... Too... I always want to say Too Fat to Fish, which was... what's his name? That's Arnie Lang from the Stern Show. That was the name of his autobiography.
Too Fat to Fish.
But no, I think it's like Too Something to Beatbox. It's not Too Fat to Beatbox, but it's something like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good record. It was a lot of fun.
Well, this is a little temple of creation here. I mean, you guys are churning out all sorts of stuff, and I noticed digging through your Facebook today that you'd done a flyer for the dark side of the country science rainbow. And I was like, I got to ask him about that because, first of all, the art on that was pretty cool.
Thank you.
Was it a copy-paste job, or how did you do that?
No, I drew it.
That's really good, man.
Yeah. I use, I have like an iPad and an Apple Pencil.
Sure.
And
it was very artistic.
I have all the Adobe software. So I took a picture of Tom Servo and traced it, and then took that Denver Williams' eyeball and traced it and put the cowboy hat on it and all that, and some other Photoshop tricks. And
whatever, it was cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So what was going on there? The dark side of the country science rainbow.
Man, so this was Denver Williams' brainchild. I think he's been wanting to do this idea for like a few years. And then every time he remembered to do it, he just didn't have time to pull it off. This year was no exception, but he enlisted some ambitious friends to help him get it going. But so he had this vision of doing sort of a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing over the CMAs.
Okay.
And so basically never mind what we wanted it to be. The way it turned out was we put a giant curtain in front of the stage at the post, and we had a full band crammed behind that curtain. And then in the green room, we had a three-seat couch where we had this rotating cast of comedians that were watching the CMA and then just like commenting, just making stupid Mystery Science Theater comments over it.
Now, could anybody see the CMA?
Yes, you could see it, but we didn't have the sound on.
Okay, yeah.
And so that was broadcast on the sheet. Oh, that's why the sheet was there.
Okay.
Was to broadcast the actual show.
I grew up watching that show, Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
And, it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's so entertaining.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And so then between so then sometimes we'd pull up the curtain and then pull up the screen and the band would play like a song or two, and then we'd roll it down and then do some more jokes. And then Keegan McEnroe would come out, and he was like the presenter, and he did interviews with other people pretending to be characters and gave out awards and all that stuff. It was weird, but it was awesome.
Did you have a pretty good turnout?
It was a pretty good turnout. It was a Monday night, and the post isn't normally open on Monday, but we talked them into staying open for us. And it was a pretty good turnout. I'd say it was, it wasn't standing room only, but all the tables were full. And
when are we doing it again?
Next year.
Really?
Yeah, I think I missed the last production meeting, but I think, hopefully this isn't a spoiler, but I think we're working on something for Earth Day next year.
Okay.
So, they just want to keep the troupe together, I guess.
Well, and I'll tell you like this, everybody that comes on the show, if you've been on Fort Worth Roots and my listeners know who you are, I'll start putting your stuff on our Facebook page. So whenever y'all have stuff, and if you'll tag me and I'll pass it on.
Absolutely.
And then also you're always welcome to come back and we can talk it up and
for sure.
Kind of explain what's going to be better this year or same as last year or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do it.
How are you doing on time? We're about 30 minutes into this.
Yeah, we're good. I'm looking at my watch because of text messages, not because of the time.
Oh. Other thing I had on here that I wanted to hit you up about was Lola's. I saw that you were either at Lola's for that last show or you played in it.
No, I actually was at Lola's Saloon the day or two after the last show.
Okay.
So I was working on this documentary for, or it's about Willis Allen Ramsey. He's a Texas, well, he's from Alabama, but he's mostly a Texas singer-songwriter. He made his fortune back in the day from the song Muskrat Love.
Okay.
So he wrote that, and he got America covered it, and then Captain and Tennille covered it, and it pops in the movies, so he gets, mailbox
royalties. Yeah.
But so his first record that came out was like really well touted, and everybody loved it, and he had all these like producers clamoring for him and stuff like that. Like I think Dwayne Allman got in a argument with oh gosh, I can't remember who, some other big producer of the time about who was going to do his record and this and that. And anyways, that record comes out, is acclaimed, in certain circles or whatever. And then he starts working on the second record sometime in the 70s, late 70s. And everybody just keeps asking him, like, when's the next record? When's the next record? And he's like, what was wrong with the first one? And he's a super sweet dude. But anyway, so then fast forward to 1997, I think they finally finished tracking everything on that record. And then they started mixing it. And so they've been mixing that record since
70?
Since they started recording in the 70s, probably late 70s, maybe early 80s. I'd have to look it up. But then they finished tracking in the 90s, the late 90s, started mixing it in the late 90s, and I think it's going to come out this year.
What happened?
That's what we're going to find out in the documentary.
Oh my God, that's wild, right?
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, it's a time capsule.
Yeah. It should be interesting. I don't know much about it. We're, so what we were doing up at Lola's was, we were shooting, he's starting to play concerts again, and so he did a show at the trailer park that day, and so we did some interviews and stuff at a house down the street, and then doing the stuff at the trailer park, and then he went down to Waco to do another show down there. So yeah.
So has he done albums in between then and now?
He's written a bunch of songs in between.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happened to them, or if they just got sold or released or whatever. But this is his second album. His first one came out in the early 70s. This one will come out in the 2020s.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah.
So where can people find the documentary?
Well, it's not out yet. It's on my computer right now.
Okay.
Unedited. So,
untouchable.
Yeah, it hasn't been touched.
What are your plans for it, though? Do you think you'll have it released within the year? Or?
Yeah, I think that's our goal. So we're going to do like a short-term one. So I also work for the Texas Music Cafe, which is it was a PBS show for a long time, and now it's kind of free range. We're trying to find a new home, but all of this is kind of through that. And so we're going to do a shorter, maybe 15 or 20 minute release kind of about that weekend. And then that's part of what we've got access to all of his backlog of just video, and his archivist is good buddies with my buddy, and so we've got everything in plans to do a much broader documentary.
Does he live here in Fort Worth?
No.
Okay.
But so that's what we're doing up at Lola's. We're just working on that. So.
How bent out of shape are you that they're losing that location?
I'm bummed. I mean, that's where I cut my teeth as a young upstart musician. Just playing shows up there. Brian liked us when we were young and put us on shows, and other friends got us on shows there. And then the next thing we know, we're headlining there 4 weekends in a row. Damn. Kind of stuff. And I mean, I'll miss that stage for sure. Their new location is much closer to my house. I live right over here in Fairmount, and so their new location is closer to me, so I'll probably go there more often.
Yeah. It's going to be newer, nicer.
Yeah, but it should be good. So
somebody was telling me they think there's going to be more space for stuff. Like
the backyard is bigger than the trailer park was, I think.
That's wild, because, I mean, it's backed up right to those tracks, and then there's a shopping center on the left, I think.
Yeah.
So just...
The inside...
I've never been in there, though.
Well, it was so it used to be a restaurant called Americado. It was really fucking good. It was a really good restaurant, but then it couldn't make it. And then the people that own the Moon Bar, or at least the name to it, reopened it as the Moon Bar for a while. And we played there twice. The stage was tiny. We were pretty cramped on it, but And then that closed, and then Berry Street Ice House opened in that location, and then they failed, and so now Brian's moving into it, and so
yeah. Nah, it'll be good.
I'm sure.
Lola's has a really strong following.
Yeah, Brian's he's a good bar owner. He knows what he's doing. He wouldn't. In fact, I talked to him that Saturday or that Friday we were up there, and he's like, he's pretty excited about it. He said it's gonna be huge. He said it's gonna be huge. He literally did that. I don't know what that means, but I trust Brian.
Now, are we allowed to talk about why the move?
Oh, fuck it. Yeah, why not? Do you know the story?
I don't.
Okay. Oh, it's so dumb.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I don't know. Since I heard this third hand, so just take that for what it is.
Yeah.
But I heard it from a very reliable doorman at Lola's, and most everybody knows who I'm talking about. So Lola's Trailer Park and Saloon, from my understanding, they're two different addresses, and they're two different properties owned by two different landlords.
Okay.
And so Brian pays rent to both of them. Oh. And so I guess, business has been slow from COVID, and because normally they would have shows there Wednesday through Sunday night. There would just be a show every night, and that was it. And then Barflies would keep it open the rest of the time.
Right.
But since things got, kind of knocked down and, whatever, COVID and all that shit, so there wasn't as much stuff happening as COVID started to pick up. Shows weren't picking up. So this frat kid from TCU started throwing fraternity and sorority parties there, like renting out the whole place. Mm-hmm. And I guess they were very successful. And this, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, this kid was doing that. And then so his parents decided to buy both properties and gift to the kid so that he can continue to do his parties and stuff there. So, and they made like the landlords an offer they just couldn't refuse, I guess. So anyway, like I said, third-hand knowledge, but that is wild. That's what I've heard, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Send him to college to get an education and ends up owning one of the baddest corners in Fort Worth for a bar.
Yeah. I think it's, it's probably not that big of a deal because I think we were probably pretty close to getting overrun by West 7th generally. Yeah. And so, maybe it's good timing to get while the getting's good.
I feel like just north of 7th, right there where they were at, felt kind of protected, Poke Mahones and all that.
Well,
right
I think a lot of us started getting scared when the grotto got torn down. I think.
Oh, up Camp Bowie?
No, the grotto was just off of University, so it was basically a walking distance from Lola's. Okay. There's a taco joint.
Is it Mesa? Blue Mesa? Is that what went up there?
No. Blue Mesa's, I think, if you could draw a straight line from Blue Mesa to University, and I think it would go through the grotto.
Oh, okay.
The grotto was, it was on University, across from where that Lisa's Chicken used to be. Now it's a Starbucks. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that they tore it down, they tore it down and built that.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's a taco place or the Starbucks. One of those two went there, and the other one went over the other Italian restaurant.
And then we got Deep Elm over there, and that petered out.
Yeah.
Right over in that area. Okay. Yeah.
And so, that's the taco places, because, there's Deep Elm, and there's that taco joint. The taco joint.
Austin Taco.
Yeah, that used to be the grotto. They tore it down and built that place. And then next to that used to be Sardines, I think, or something like that. And then that got torn down, turned into Starbucks. So anyway, when that happened, I think a lot of us were like, "Oh shit, this neighborhood's changing pretty fast."
Yeah. Well, West 7th, man, holy shit. You could, I'm sure you can't do this now, but the street view on Google, how you can go street level and you can walk yourself down the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I was doing this in like 2015, and you got to Fox Street, and as you're walking down 7th, if you're heading towards downtown, as you approached Fox Street, it was all the old buildings, like warehouses and stuff, and these images were like 2011, I think.
Okay.
And then as soon as you crossed Fox Street, everything updated, and it was 2015 images. And now you've got all the new buildings, and you could turn around and you could look behind you, and it was new images.
Oh, wow.
And you could see all the new buildings that had taken over the warehouses and things like that. So it did overnight just completely change.
Yeah.
And there was some really nice little spots down there that already are gone, like Terra, the Mediterranean place.
The place was great, yeah.
Man, it was so good. Their buffet was incredible, and there's nothing like that here. There's one place on Camp Bowie that I found that's kind of like it, but their food sucks.
Shadra over here is pretty good, too.
What street is that on?
I want to say Park Place.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They do a buffet for lunch. I don't think they do for dinner.
I need lots of shawarma, so it's got to be a buffet.
This is your place. Yeah, go to Shadra for lunch.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've got it recorded.
Place is super good. Yeah.
Check it out.
Chadra.
I'll go ahead and add the address in the show notes so you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the place is really good. Yeah.
But there's been a lot of things that have popped up just over the last couple of years down there.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to make it, didn't make it.
Yeah.
They spent like 2 years putting together that Dallas restaurant that moved in right across from it's where the winery used to be. There used to be a little winery there.
Oh yeah.
And they spent 2 years remodeling the inside of that thing.
Oh, it was supposed to be a punch bowl social.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And that place was actually pretty damn cool.
My cousin was supposed to come down so my cousin is a manager in Indianapolis of the Punch Bowl Social there.
No shit.
He was supposed to come here to open that one, and then it just never opened.
Well, it opened. It was open for 88 days.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what it was. He saw the writing on the wall.
I was there for the grand opening, and I mean, it was a big deal, and some guy was there, and he looked just like his brother, but I can't remember the actor's name. And I asked him, I was like, do you know how much you look like this guy? And he's like, yeah, that's my brother.
Is it one of the Wilsons?
I can't remember now. But it was wild. So there was a bunch of like affluent people there. It was a lot of money.
That place was it was weird fun. I've only been to the one in Indy, but it was weird fun.
The food was incredible.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the food was good. I can't imagine that one was big enough. Like, because I know the footprint. I've been to that winery before. I can't imagine the footprint was big enough to do that right.
It was huge in there.
Was it?
There were bowling lanes.
Well, I know, but how many?
Like 6.
Okay, so the one in Indy had like 12 or 13 or something like that, plus like a bocce ball court next to each bowling alley, and then like an arcade in the middle.
The one in Deep Ellum is like 3 levels.
Yeah, I figured that one's. I haven't been to that one either.
It's huge,
but I figured.
It made this one look like bullshit.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that one I think. I was wondering about the footprint of it, whether it was going to be a.
I'd never heard of it before, but
I don't think that there's a ton of them around the U.S.
Just based on how much time they spent putting that damn thing together, 88 days. That's got to be a pretty huge kick in the nuts for anybody involved with it.
Certainly a loss. Yeah.
Well, let's start wrapping it up, but before we do, we need to at least talk about Continuous Vaudeville. With Itchy Richie and the Burning Sensations, our homie Richard Keller.
Yeah, that record was crazy fun to work on. They're just fun college rock kind of tunes. Is how I've been describing them for lack of a better term. Some of that stuff, like there's a couple songs where Richie like really let me and Neil McAllister is an assistant engineer that works for me sometimes. Amazing musician and songwriter in his own right. But him and I both were like, every once in a while we'd have an idea, and Richie's like, okay, I'll do that, and sometimes reluctantly, sometimes not so. But anyway, so some of that stuff, some of the more B-52 sounding vocal takes was me really going like, nah, come on, Richie, do it the right way. Stuff like that. But yeah, that record's super fun. Yeah. It's really good.
Well, I hope to watch them grow, because they've got good stage presence. They put on a good show, and the music's excellent. So
yeah, his bass player, Jeff Sachowski, he's got his own band he's got several bands and personalities and stuff like that. He's very prolific. The dude cranks out material, and so we met through Richard through the recording, and just kind of hit it off, and we've been recording all sorts of stuff. So he's got a record I just mastered for him that he recorded with some other friends, and then him and I are working on a big record for his, and we've got plans for fucking 4 more, I think, and stuff like that. So yeah,
plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm always busy.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm always busy. I just finished up a Jenna Clark record last night, which we've been working on for like 1.5 years. And
I listened to a little bit of that. She's got an amazing voice.
Yeah, I'll shoot you, not for sharing, but I'll shoot you the mixes we finished up.
Okay.
Anything she's got online is like a lot more bluesy than she is. It's great stuff. And Jenna's kind of dichotomous. She's got kind of her blues jazz self, and then she's got her country.
Now, when you send me stuff, make sure you put like "for you only" or something, because I like to share people's shit. Like if you send it to me, I assume you want me to share it. So. Yeah. No, I'll mark it as such. But I saw that you'd outed yourself as a Fort Worth cheerleader.
Yeah,
on
for
your Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel the same way. I get into arguments all the time with people like, Fort Worth is the best place to live.
All my friends call me, or all my Dallas friends call me Mr. Fort Worth.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, Joe, thank you for your time, man. This has been a real
fun.
treat. I love your studio, and I would really like to do this again with you sometime, and I'll bring the beer.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe, thanks again.
Appreciate it.
Fort Worth Roots, thank y'all for being here, and we will see you next week. Bye. A huge, sincere thank you to Joe for having us inside the Cloudland-Recording Studios to check out that space, and for giving us a little bit of his time. He had stuff going on before and after this recording, and he kind of carved out a spot for Fort Worth Roots. So, Joe, thank you very much. Josh Reed, we talked about this in the episode. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes for Josh Reed, Too Ugly to Beatbox, I think is the name of it. But check out the show notes for that. That's going to be in there. The video's cool. Y'all should check that out. YouTube, Fort Worth Roots. Nothing real special. I didn't add a bunch of graphics and stuff like I do with some of these videos, but you got to check out the inside of that control room. Pretty cool stuff. 100th episode release party. It's coming soon. Right now I'm talking to people about different venues and different ideas, but I want this to be big, and I've got a couple of months to plan for this, so little by little I'm giving you information as it comes in. But the scavenger hunt, the thing got the green light this weekend after talking to the Funky Panther. Thanks for the invite, Osos Colosos, and Forever Reckless. So we're going to be doing that. I don't know to what extent. I don't know how many podcasters are going to be involved, and you don't even have to play. It's just a cool way for us to collaborate with all these different podcasters and get something going. So, all right. Be sure to check out the show notes. Thank y'all for listening to this episode of the show, and I'll see you next week. Peace.